Greetings, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. So, welcome to lesson 1. So, we're going to get into term 3 here. We're going to start doing term 3 work. Okay. Thank you for tuning in again. I hope you have. I hope this lesson is helpful for you. So, this is going to be an introduction. So, we're going to get into term 3 now. Okay. And gonna get into term 3. So for term 3, there are 7 topics that we have to do for term 3. Okay. So I wanna outline the topics that we're gonna cover for term 3. Okay. So the first topic we're gonna do for this term is forces. And then we're gonna do electric cells, as energy systems. Energy systems. Then the third topic we're gonna do here is resistance. So resistance followed by series and parallel circuits. Series and parallel circuits. And then followed by safety. Safety with electricity. Electricity. So this one you can just say electrical safety, I think. Just to shorten the name. Then we get into energy and the national grid. Energy and the national electricity grid. And then the last topic is gonna be cost. Cost of electrical power. So this is what we're gonna do throughout the term. Okay. So over here is an outline of what is going to be happening this term. Okay, this topics for this term, there are 7. So let's not waste any time, guys. Let us get into the first topic here. Okay, because I have a small introduction here about forces. Okay, just want to give you an idea about the topic. Okay, so let's get into forces. Okay, so we can start by defining a force. Okay, so what is a force? Okay, what is a force? So we start by the definition, so we know what we're talking about. Okay. So we define this thing the following way. Okay, so we say a force is a push or a pull on an object So in it, the unit of measurement. So the unit of measurement is a Newton. So it's symbolized by the capital letter N. So the unit of measurement of this physical quantity is a Newton. And we use a capital letter here to signify so it accompanies the magnitude here. Okay, so and then from there we have to know the types of forces. Okay. The types of forces that we're going to be looking at. So there are only 2 types of forces here. So we have 2 categories, is contact and non-contact forces. So let me start with contact forces. What are they? Okay. So we have contact forces where objects are in so the objects are in contact with each other, and exert forces on each other. So an example would be what? So an example here would be a floor. Okay. So you have a table. Here that is resting on a floor. Okay. So the floor, there is a force of gravity. There's the weight of the table that is being exerted on the floor. And the floor will also exert the normal force. So the floor will also exert a normal force. So these are the two objects here, the table and the floor, and they are exerting forces on each other. Okay. And then the second type, and there are only two types, okay, is non-contact forces. Non-contact forces. So in this case is where objects are not. So in this case, the objects are not in contact with each other, but they are still exerting forces on each other. So, okay, can I give you an example? So let's say you have an example of force, the objects that are not in contact. So we can use magnets. Say you have a north pole and a south pole. So you have a pair of magnets, and you have a north and south pole. You have a north and south pole in each case. So there will be a force, a pulling force, okay? Or you can say a force of attraction. So an example here would be a pair of magnets here. This is an example of non-contact forces. Well, I'll get into others as we progress, okay? So I just gave you an example, one example in each case, okay? But I'll show you the others as we go. Okay? And then the other important thing is the effects that the forces will have on an object, okay? So when a force is acting on an object, it will have an effect on those objects, okay? So we have to know the effects of forces. So for this term, we concern ourselves with three effects, okay? Effects of forces, and so they have an effect on shape, they have an effect on motion, and they have an effect on direction. So these are the three effects that we are going to look at. We're going to concern ourselves with only these three for this term. Okay. So here we say forces have the following effect, and I will make a bullet points here. Okay. The following effects on objects. So let us talk about the first one. Okay. Shape. So forces can change the shape of an object. Okay. Forces can change the shape of an object. So this is the keyword here, shape of an object. We call this deformation. Call this when the force changes the shape of an object. We call this deformation. Again, it's another definition. Deformation. And the second effect. Okay. The second effect we said is motion. So forces can change forces can change the motion. Keyword here is motion of an object So in what way? So if an object is stationary, if an object is stationary, meaning if an object is not moving, okay? If an object is stationary, a force can move the object. A force can move the object. Then if an object is already in motion, okay? If an object is already in motion, a force can slow it down. Can slow it down or accelerate it. So there can be deceleration or acceleration. So this is the effect that it will have on motion. Okay. And then direction. So a force can also change direction of a moving object. Can also change direction of a moving object. So in this case, the object is already in motion. Okay. So the last one, the last effect here that talks about direction, the object should be in motion already. So it's not applicable to objects that are stationary. Okay. So if an object is stationary, the last effect does not take place. Okay, now let us go back to I want to show you something here, okay? Because before we go to the effects of forces, the three effects, we talked about the types of forces, okay? Types of forces, which are, there is contact forces, and then there is non-contact forces, okay? So in this case here, I gave you one example each. Gave you one example that here we have the table and the floor, that the two objects are in contact with each other. And then here we have a pair of magnets with opposite poles facing each other, okay? A pair of magnets with opposite poles facing each other. So in this case, there will be attraction, which is a type of a force, meaning there will be a pull. So if there were the same poles here, there would be a push. If there was a north and a north facing each other. So what I want to show you here is that in each case, I gave you one example. Okay. So in lesson two, I will get into details, okay, about different types of contact forces and different types of non-contact forces, because it's not just one example. There's a lot of examples that I will show you in lesson two. Okay. So I think that let's leave it here for lesson one, okay? I think this is enough for introduction. So I gave you an overview here of the topics that we're gonna do for this term. There are 7 is forces, electrical cells as energy systems, is resistance, is series and parallel circuits, safety with electricity, energy and the national electricity grid, and then the last one is cost of electrical power. Is 7 topics that we're gonna do for this term, okay? So again, thank you for tuning in. And I hope you tune in for lesson 2. And I will show you more examples of contact and non-contact forces. So you can be able to identify. Okay. And then in lesson 2, we're also going to talk about friction. We're also going to talk about friction, okay, which is another type of uh, contact force. Um, let's leave it here for now, and I hope that was helpful. I hope to see you in lesson 2. Bye bye.